Welcome. My name is Diamond Thompson, and the following project was created in partial completion for the Master of Arts degree in Education at Sacramento State University. Believed to be in violation of an array of school dress code policies, Black and brown students are disproportionately policed in higher numbers than their non-Black peers. School dress code policies are intended to reduce any disruptions by removing the incitement that is causing the distraction. However, when the distraction is based upon culture, Black students are faced with the undue burden of conforming to culturally restrictive dress codes. These dress codes promote assimilation and the maintenance of Eurocentric beauty standards, and if students fail to adhere, they are subjected to capricious consequences of alleged violations. School dress code policies reflecting anti-Blackness has become more visible within the last decade due to the continuous growth and access to social media. With the prevalence of such incidents, the narrative of this project aims to unveil the hidden prejudices against Black hair and cultural hair dress in school dress code policies. Join me as we uncover these truths together by exploring the impacts and implications of this discrimination.
I will be here at every board meeting. I will fight to get all of the changed.
Inside a Tatum ISD board meeting, parents and supporters are seen here holding signs demanding the board make a change after claiming students are being discriminated against. This all started when 4-year-old Michael arrived at school to meet his teacher, but was told his hair needed to change. His grandmother was told she needed to see the principal, who explained that Michael's hair was too long.
The superintendent then gave me 3 options. He told me that I could either cut it, braid it, and pin it up, or put my grandson in a dress and send him to school, and when prompted, my grandson must say he's a girl.
Michael's grandmother and other parents point to what they believe is a problem in the school's dress code. The dress code states no ponytails, ducktails, rat tails, male buns, or puffballs are allowed on male students. It goes on to add that hair shouldn't extend past the top of a t-shirt collar. Another parent is asking the school board to rethink the rules after her son was told his hair could not be in a ponytail.
With my son's dreadlocks, sometimes they do fall in his face, so I felt it would be easier to put his hair up, but then that's a problem.
Collectively, parents and supporters plan on fighting what they believe to be a gender and race issue.
He shouldn't even be talking about this at any age because hair has nothing to do with learning.
My son just got told he cannot attend the school with his hair. That's not bias, I don't know what is.
In this clip, the father is asking if it's okay to braid up his son's locks in order to attend class. The teacher condescendingly says, "I don't think so," further stating that it's in the handbook that hair must be above the ear. He posted the recorded incident to social media, grabbing the attention of various activists.
We're being sent home. I was shocked, total disbelief. As a parent, you don't want your child disappointed for being discriminated against because he has a certain hairstyle that people don't agree with.
Supporters agree that schools are allowed to have dress codes, but these codes cannot discriminate against hairstyles worn by students of color like locks or afros. The first 2 viral incidents involved children in preschool and kindergarten. These children are only 5 and 6 years old, but have already been exposed to adversity related to gender bias and cultural expression. Early childhood education is designed for pivotal development where children are exploring their place in the world and require environments and connections that are emotionally safe. Yet, as we just witnessed, even in early childhood, controversy exists as it relates to Black students and their cultural expression, particularly concerning their hair within educational settings.
Deborah Brown Community School is 1 student short for the remainder of the school year. Terrence Parker says the school hassled him so much he didn't have a choice. So he yanked his 7-year-old daughter Tiana out of classes because of a disagreement that left her in tears.
Terrence is upset due to school officials at Deborah Brown telling him his daughter Tiana did not look presentable, specifically her hair. The charter school has its own rules, and when news broke, administrators mentioned that Terrence was fully aware of what was expected as far as grooming standards. But for his daughter, it's hurtful.
Why are you so sad?
Because they didn't like my dress. In reviewing the school's dress code, it states hairstyles such as dreadlocks, afros, mohawks, and other faddish styles are unacceptable. The school feels certain styles could distract from the respectful and serious atmosphere it strives for. Tiana's father explains that his daughter went to the school last year and didn't have any problem with her hair styled in the same dreadlocks. Before being enrolled in a new school, Tiana had this to say to Deborah Brown administrators.
I think that they should let me have my dreads.
A Jackson County school is defending its decision tonight to block an 8-year-old girl from getting her picture taken because of her hair.
Principal of Paragon Charter Academy says the third grader's red extensions violated school policy, but her father believes there's more to it than just her hair. Marion expressed through tears that she felt singled out when she wasn't allowed to have her school photo taken.
This is uncalled for to pull them to the side. They didn't even call us. Marion didn't leave out the house, go down the street, and go get this done on her own. She's 8 years old. We did this ourselves in our own home. I mean, there's just no way that I felt like this would happen.
The school's handbook states that students' hair and hairstyles must be conservative, of natural tones, and that extreme styles were not permitted. But what it doesn't state is the course of action if a student shows up with colored hair, leaving this father confused and frustrated. Marion was told she couldn't get her picture taken, but that she could return to class.
If they at least would have reached out to us and said, hey, come get her, she's got a hair issue, we need you to change it. That's not allowed. I can show you in the handbook. They didn't even go to those extents. They let her stay in school. So if she's not a disruption to the class, then why is she a disruption to the picture?
Christ the King Elementary School in Terrytown is facing a strong backlash for a policy many say is racist. The school says the braids violates its natural hair only policy, which it says was communicated to parents over the summer and again before the first day of school.
Officials at Christ the King Parish School sent the student home for having braids in her hair. The Catholic school says it offered Faith and her family a chance to comply, while people across social media have taken issue with the stance. Parents and supporters say the issue isn't with the policy violation, it is that the policy shouldn't have been created in the first place. School officials say a policy that states for boys and girls only the student's natural hair is permitted. People across social media challenge that rule by saying it unfairly targets women of color. By banning hairstyles that the school doesn't deem natural, the school is demanding students of color change who they are. It sends a message that Black students are not acceptable in the way that they are and in the ways that they show up. As Black people, hair is a part of who we are, especially these hairstyles. For Faith, who left the school in tears, the damage has already been done. The message she received was loud and clear that she was not valuable, even though her parents are spending money in that space. Through policy, the school is saying we would rather you not be here than you actually exist in this space as you are.
This sixth grader told to change his haircut by his school, and tonight his father wants to know why.
His dad is not happy about this, and he says it's a rule the school is taking a hair too far.
This father states his son has had this haircut for 6 months before anyone said anything about it being an issue.
I was walking in class and then she saw my hair and then she said, you can't have 2 lines in your hair, and she said to go to the office.
The district's dress code listed in the Student Code of Conduct says letters, symbols, and designs beyond a single straight line which draw attention to an individual shall not be permitted. Further stating the administrator or supervisor reserves the right to determine if a hairstyle is disruptive to the educational process. The school gave Xavier 2 days to fix his haircut or be punished with in-school suspension.
I don't think it's fair.
This was the haircut Xavier had for 6 months, and this is the haircut after the fix. Here his father is explaining how Xavier's mother took a permanent Sharpie marker and filled in the additional line in order to be in compliance and avoid an in-school suspension.
In order for him to get an education, we have to treat his hair like a coloring book, I guess.
A haircut controversy in Pearland ISD. The school said the boy's haircut with this design cut into it violates the dress code there.
In addition to the rule itself, the controversial part of this incident is that a school administrator took a magic marker and filled in the student's design. After the incident, the school released a statement sharing that the student's haircut was against the dress code. While enforcing the policy, administrators state extreme hairstyles, such as carvings, are not allowed. However, the policy only states hair must be neat, clean, and well-groomed. The school later admitted the administrator mishandled disciplinary action, which the district does not condone. Some parents side with the school, stating the district had parents sign the school's dress code at the beginning of the year. The student's mother claims that coloring in her son's head had racial undertones, and for him, the whole experience was humiliating.
We have a story from that often explosive nexus between the personal and the political. It involves hair, specifically the hairstyles of young African Americans, and the controversial decision made by one school district that fed into a heated national debate.
This 15-year-old sophomore, Ashanti, states hair can say so much about a person. This is one of the reasons she proudly wears her hair in its natural state. She was appalled when she saw her school's new dress code policy over the summer for the upcoming school year.
It was the hair, and I noticed that as you kept reading, it just added more and more hairstyles that were natural and mostly worn by Black people.
Ashanti took this personal as she's worn these hairstyles, and her mom's adds that she felt like it was an attack on who she is and her culture. The pair soon became part of a national debate regarding perceptions surrounding natural hair. What offended them most was this line in the new dress code policy banning dreadlocks, twists, afros longer than 2 inches, and cornrows, which is misspelled. Upon receiving the new policy, the mother immediately called the daughter's school, but it was after hours, so in the midst of frustration, she turned to social media. On Twitter, the mother wrote, "So my daughter had registration today, and let's just say she's not happy about the JCPS no natural hair policy." The tweet quickly went viral. According to the principal at Butler High, braids were never meant to cause controversy. When asked if this type of policy singled out Black kids, he had this to say.
All of our policies are for all of our students.
He goes on to say the disapproval surrounding the new policy gave officials the opportunity to look at culture versus style and the specific things that are outlined that may relate to a particular group. Ashanti's mother states regardless of the intention, it was offensive.
It's not about intent, it's about how it landed. And the way that it landed for me and my daughter and other students and other parents is that it was offensive and it was discriminatory.
With the attention this incident received, officials at Butler High School have adjusted the dress code policy to state hair must be well-groomed, well-kept, and at a reasonable length. Sophomore twins Maya and Deanna are proud to show off their hair and share what it represents.
It's more than just braids to me.
However, their school sees it differently. Mystic Valley Regional Charter School says their hair extensions violate the school's dress code. This violation has resulted in the twins being disciplined with detention and prohibited from taking part in extracurricular activities such as prom and sports.
I have a big meet this Saturday for track, and a lot of people keep asking me, "Oh, are you gonna go? Are you able to go?" I'm like, "No, I can't go."
The school released a statement saying this specific prohibition of hair extensions, which are expensive and could serve as a differentiating factor between students of dissimilar socioeconomic backgrounds, is consistent with their desire to create an educational environment that celebrates all that students have in common and minimizes material differences and distractions.
They braid our hair like normal and add in extensions to strengthen it.
School officials don't realize that certain styles can also help conceal socioeconomic backgrounds. Not allowing students to have extensions in an effort to not showcase desirable socioeconomic backgrounds can negatively result in spotlighting students who come from less favorable ones. Maya and Deanna see their braids and extensions as one. They say it provides them with a connection and bond to the Black community.
It has been a little bit harder since my parents are white, but getting braids was like a step in the right direction for me, and taking them out would be a step back, and I don't want to do that.
Noor is a junior in high school who proudly wears her sport hijab when running for Northview. This has never been considered a uniform violation until this particular meet. Officials began their routine uniform check before the race. Noor saw officials talking to each other and assumed it was about her hijab.
And in the back of my mind was, are they going to say something about my hijab or about my uniform, because it is different.
However, Noor's teammate was approached instead about being out of uniform and needed to change, but they did not say anything to Noor about her hijab. After crossing the finish line, Noor did not see her name displayed on the board. Despite not being told prior to the race, Noor's hijab was out of uniform, allowing her to be disqualified.
They were like, well, you got disqualified. And I was like, for what, And they're like, because of your hijab. My heart dropped. I felt like something horrible happened to me, something that I always thought could happen, but never has happened, I think I was mostly embarrassed.
The Ohio High School Athletic Association requires coaches to have a waiver for athletes wearing anything that is not part of a league-approved uniform. Nora's family and coach were unaware she needed a waiver mainly because she's been competing in multiple sports for the past 3 years, wearing her hijab with no issues. For future participation, Nora must have an exception letter stating she can wear her hijab. While she's excited she'll be permitted to run, she's disappointed she must have a letter to begin with.
BUNA regional high school student Andrew Johnson is seen stoically submitting to an impromptu cutting of his dreadlocks.
A high school referee in New Jersey made this wrestler choose between his hair or his sport. Fellow students are seen here walking up to him with encouraging words and gestures. After the humiliating disrespect to his tresses, he manages to go on and participate in the match to defeat his opponent. The school released a statement claiming the student-athlete made the decision to cut his hair at that moment to avoid forfeiture, and that no school or district staff member influenced the student into making that decision. Rules of the match state hair shall not extend below the top of a t-shirt collar, hair shall not extend below the earlobe level, and hair shall not extend below the eyebrows. The New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association confirmed it is investigating and released a statement stating, given the degree of attention being focused on this matter, the referee in question cannot be assigned to any event until this matter has undergone a thorough review.
People packed a Barbers Hill school board meeting tonight, fired up over the dress code.
Yeah, it's a dress code some say is outdated and racially insensitive, especially when it pertains to one student who wears dreadlocks.
I get it. You don't understand locks because ain't none of y'all black.
A district that strives for excellence found itself embroiled in controversy about race, discrimination, and dreadlocks.
The dress code is designed by white people for white people that is damaging to black bodies.
Supporters stood behind DeAndre and his family as they addressed the Barbers Hill ISD school board. DeAndre has been suspended and won't be able to walk at his graduation unless he cuts his dreadlocks.
He should not have to go through this. This family should not have to go through this, but I expect it from a school board that has zero diversity.
The district doubles down by saying this isn't about dreadlocks or race. A district school board representative is seen here explaining how there is no dress code policy that prohibits cornrows or specific styles, and that the policy only limits the length.
It's been that way for 30 years.
Some attendees agreed with the district and pleaded with them not to make an exception with the rules, but the majority didn't buy the district's explanation.
We're here about DeAndre, but it's bigger than DeAndre. It's about all the other DeAndres that possibly can come through Barbers Hill.
Spotlight is back on Barbers Hill ISD, months after a legal battle began over the length of a student's hair in the district. A judge ruled this week their rules are discriminatory.
This all started with 2 students being suspended because they wouldn't cut their dreadlocks. DeAndre Arnold and his cousin Caden drew national attention in their battle with his school district.
This is the second case to come out of Barbers Hill for the same reason. Caden was one of 3 boys at the center of a hair controversy in Barbers Hill ISD. He explains before all this took place, it was pretty much normal for him to go to class, get work done, and go home. But it's been harder to concentrate with the attention he and his cousin DeAndre have gotten over their hair. Caden has also been suspended for breaking Barbers Hill ISD school dress code that states boys cannot have hair past their earlobes.
I feel like there should be some leniency for guys who feel like they'd want to grow their hair, because the length of our hair shouldn't determine whether we're able to get an education or not.
Caden's mom says his hair is a part of his heritage and that she supports her son's decision to stand for what he believes in.
The district stands by its 30-year-old hair policy.
Caden says leaving the district is an option.
The cousins and their mothers have since then filed a lawsuit against the district alleging racial discrimination.
And as you know, this has been an ongoing battle at Barbers Hill ISD over Daryl George's hair. The district saying that it is too long, and supporters say that his style is protected by the Crown Act. And you might say that this is the sequel to the original story.
They're going to do what they want to do unless they're made to do opposite.
DeAndre should know firsthand. We saw him earlier in the first incident at Barbers Hill. In 2020, he was also suspended over his hair. This helped trigger passage of the Crown Act, which bans discrimination against hair commonly associated with race, like braids, locks, and twists. Fast forward to the most recent case in 2023, 17-year-old Daryl pins up his long hair to comply with length regulations. But the district says its dress code prohibits hair below the eyebrows or below the earlobes when let down. State Representative Retta Andrews Bowers, who authored the Texas Crown Act, says Barbers Hill is attempting to find loopholes to skirt the law and perpetuate hair discrimination. Meanwhile, Daryl has been faced with in-school suspension for weeks, according to his mother. This prompted press conferences and a complaint to the school and the Texas Education Agency alleging torture and unethical hazing during suspension. As we've just witnessed, there is a need for greater transparency, consistency, and cultural sensitivity in the development and implementation of dress code policies. Dress code policies are often justified by schools to maintain a focused learning environment, promote professionalism, and prevent distractions. Many times, what constitutes a distraction also happens to be part of the gender, racial, or cultural identities of the student. It is critical for education leaders to assist students in developing a strong sense of self and resilience. They must do this by pushing back against these oppressive systematic behaviors. When the communities being negatively impacted by dress code policies are solely Black and brown students, the discrimination becomes overt. Addressing these issues can help ensure that dress codes are equitable, inclusive, and supportive of all students, regardless of gender, race, or cultural background. Self-expression is important to young people, especially for those who have minimal outlets to express themselves through their appearance, whether by hair or clothing. Students gain a sense of individuality and identity early on through dress and cultural expression. The examples we saw illustrate how dress codes often include rules that are tailored to specific genders, imposing different expectations and standards based on traditional notions of masculinity and femininity. Such gender-specific rules can contribute to the reinforcement of gender stereotypes and may disproportionately affect certain groups of students. These examples have also showcased how dress code policies are not uniformly implemented or enforced and can have underlying biases or cultural assumptions shaping the policy objectives. Additionally, several dress code policies include ambiguous or subjective language, including terms such as neat, appropriate, or distracting. These terms lack clear definitions and allow for interpretation by school administrators. The presence of ambiguous language in dress code policies can lead to disparities in enforcement and subjective judgments, resulting in discriminatory practices targeting certain hairstyles or expressions, along with unfair treatment of students. After examining the relationship between school dress code policies and the concept of cultural discontinuity, Black and brown students are policed and sanctioned for their choice of appearance in ways that other students are not. School dress code policies that disproportionately target disenfranchised students promote hegemonic values, preserve gender disparity, and the exclusion of cultural diversity. Though social media continues to grow, this is still only a small glimpse into the underlying language embedded into policies across the nation, many of which don't make national headlines. These restrictions suggest a lack of cultural sensitivity and awareness within dress code policies, as they may overlook the significance of certain appearance practices within marginalized communities. To create a more equitable educational atmosphere, adoption of an inclusive dress code policy is necessary. School districts and policymakers will have a better understanding of the diverse communities they serve if the community is invited into the conversation prior to implementation.
Not about one school. It's about the public school system and the way that it's policing kids who are trying to get an education. They just want to come and learn.